Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Daniel, and this is Metal Sharpens Metal, the place where I analyze heavy music from a Christian worldview. Today we are back with another song from the band Persefone, but we're going back in time to the first album I heard of theirs called Spiritual Migration. We already analyzed one of their songs called Prison Skin, way back in the early days of the channel, actually. And this is one album back for them. Today's song is called Fullness, and it was actually recommended by somebody that I need to go look up the exact name for real quick. Okay, this song today was recommended by Storm Killzone. Don't get caught in that kill zone. That's a scary one because not only are you dying, but there's like hail hitting you at the same time. It's not going to feel comfy. I mean, you want to die comfy, I assume. It's got morbid. All right, well, let's jump into the song and pretend that wasn't said. Okay, there's a lot of lyrics on this one, at least a lot of vertical space, so I'll do my best to keep up with the scrolling here. No moments to breathe yet. All right, now we're coming into a more linear beat here. Gosh, such a good mix of driving, chugging guitars, double bass, thrash beats when needed, and synths behind it all. And beautiful singing. I love his voice. Okay, we're gonna open it up. I love that so much. This is such a cool riff. Just huge slow drums behind it. I love this whole syncopated part. These songs are just so packed with so many good parts. It's great. So many change-ups right there. Little harmonic. Okay, this moment's really important. Do-do-do. Got a little rest there. Another one. Oh, and then it gets heavy. Gosh, the vocals locking in with the guitars and the rhythmic patterns, it's so cool. As a drummer, I'm a sucker for that stuff. All right, second little solo section. Because anytime you get a break from vocals, you know you need some shred to keep you on your toes. This whole part to the end is just my favorite. Probably my favorite section of the album. Just so much soul and emotion in those notes and the supporting notes underneath. And then I don't know how to classify this polyrhythm exactly, but you got that going on, and then the drums kind of keeping it in 4/4 overall. It's such a good song. Oh, I didn't even scroll down. There you go. There's the last line. We'll talk about it too. We are back with your favorite Andorran band, TM.
Did you just trademark that idea?
But yeah, this time we're going back one album from the last video, like I mentioned, to where it all began for me. I first heard Spiritual Migration. I have no idea where I first heard it, but I was just enamored. I was listening to the album so much. Just anytime I was like out walking in the rain or riding my bike in the rain or really in like any weather, not just rain. And I was blown away. Like the intro song is a little instrumental prog nugget about flying dragons. It's just this like double bass and these little scaling, like they love Eastern religion so much that they put one of those centering bells, like that ding. I feel like they use those like to guide you in meditation or yoga or whatever. But they start off the album like that, super pagan, but it sounds super cool. There's so much to talk about in terms of the view of this song in the lyrics, and there's a lot I agree with and a lot that I think is being twisted kind of away from what I think is true. But the singing chorus in this song is so cool. It's so well done. I mean, they've been playing 16th notes, triplets, like all kinds of stuff all over the place, and then they let that big spot open up and the singing comes in and you're like, whoa. At least that's how I feel. And then at the end, they bring back the singing section again but this time with bigger instruments, harmonies on the vocals too, like, and then the lyrics come in and do the hits with the music. Through your mind, body, and soul. So like he hits kind of those syncopated rhythms to actually do the singing parts. It's just so cool. Like I said, this is a concept album, and they were telling a story overall about a spiritual migration, like a migration of your own spirit going through these experiences to reach enlightenment. You could kind of sum it up as that. And they made it a concept album in the music side as well, because they have this reference in the first song with some of those notes, and then they also reference it in the outro. They're playing it lightly on the keys, and I think that again just plays more into the ingrained nature that the music will have in my head, because the rephrasing of that melody each time just injects it into my veins for days after listening. Oh, and I wanted to correct a mistake that I made in the first video. I had said that Tony was their clean singer. I don't know how I messed that up. Tony's their bassist. Their lead singer, the clean singer guy, his name is Mo, and he's such a good vocalist. I love his tenor, his style, like all that stuff. And even if I don't agree with like the main meaning behind this song, I think that it was super well written in expressing that meaning and getting the instruments to match up with the lyrics, having the parts be very significant for what's going on in the lyrics. So yeah, everything's intentional. Everything's played with a ton of skill. These guys that just hit the spot musically for me. I don't think they have a single song that I dislike across like any of their albums. Well, I should say I haven't gone back and listened to their oldest albums, but everything from Spiritual Migration onward, I think, is super good, super catchy. Like little parts get stuck in my head randomly, and I'm like, where'd that come from? Oh yeah, I forgot. Okay, so the meaning of this song in particular is about being true to yourself, basically. And yeah, it sounds kind of like Bob Ross got involved with metal. There are things I agree with, but there are also some parts where my worldview will clash here. So let's go take a look. They open up talking about this bad thing, this hateful monster that the singer is pushing down into the dark depths. This monster is deep-rooted, it's always present, and it's an attitude that does not lead to a growth path. So there's a problem, and they want to talk about it.
That's why you're here. Help me.
They say that it's instilled in us, reinforced in our civilization and our surroundings and everything. So yeah, this must be a really bad thing if no one can break free. The issue is touched on with the part where he says, forced to hide parts of our being, which I agree can be a problem. Like, we don't want to have one version of ourselves for this group of people and that group of people, and for our job, and then for our church. Like, we are one whole being. We are a body and a soul. So yeah, we should be truthful about reality in that sense and be true about who we are as well. I'm not saying that every single person and every single moral choice is like just totally right. I'm just saying be consistent with who you are. And then if there are problems, then those need to be addressed as well. And then later on, he says that he's taking the reins of my being, and he's resisting the control of the outside world. There is some fear involved. It says he's afraid here, but then a really important part of the song happens. It says a wise voice appears, supporting me. All right, so who is the wise voice, and what is the support? Well, it looks like it's speaking to the soul of the protagonist and saying to trust. With love, embrace who you are. If you can't accept yourself, who will? They need to do this correctly, though, because this is the only way to the inner release, that inner fullness that the song is referencing. And the last video I did, I pointed out that there are a lot of references for New Age and Eastern kind of spirituality, but I think we could go even further back and just kind of sum it up as an ancient belief called Gnosticism.
What did people believe in before? The sun?
And one major Gnostic belief is that our flesh, like our physical bodies, they are inherently unclean, but our souls inside are pure. They're just trapped inside our fleshy selves. And so this song is talking about the inner release and getting our souls, out of our bodies in a spiritual sense and reaching perfection in that way. And again, the last song called Prison Skin, our flesh is a prison. So I think that Gnosticism fits their lyrical themes pretty perfectly. And then skipping down a little further, we've got this part, acceptance is the way to bring light and balance ourselves. And then towards the end, he also says, see, accept, and love yourself foremost. So like more than anyone else. So the question that has to be asked is, what is the standard by which they can accept themselves? We know that they don't condone every single thing that a human's ever done. They don't say that every evil, wicked person should just accept all that evil. but how do they distinguish that? How do they say this part is evil, this part is acceptable? And this goes back to the discussion of foundation. We all have something at the bottom of our beliefs that's holding them up and that we will never question. Anything that goes below that foundation to say, is this foundation true? Then that becomes the new standard of comparison. That's your foundation. So we need to know what that is in order to know what's acceptable and what's not. And then the very last part that he said is, I clean the window of my life to let the light come inside, evolve. This sounds like a noble pursuit. We should want to see clearly and let light inside, light that is true and good. But I would say that we can't clean the window of our lives sufficiently. We see right now through a mirror dimly, but there is somebody who does know us perfectly, who is that full light. And we will not know that light. We will not know that truth until we know God and his son. So there is a darker side to this Gnostic belief. And I'm not an expert in this anyway. Like, I'm not a historian about Gnosticism, but when you believe that your flesh is unclean by its very existence, it can cause you to treat all of your physical activities and interactions in this physical world in some problematic ways. One way some people went too far with this is that they said, well, if everything about the body is bad already, I can't make myself any more impure than I already am. Therefore, debauchery and hedonism and rampant craziness, like that's all on the table, because your soul is just this pure little nugget inside that's just resting inside your nasty body. It's chill. It's unbothered by external worldly activities. That's obviously bad. The other extreme would be to say, since this is such a wicked body and I can't do anything good with it, I need to cut myself off from the world entirely. I need to try my hardest, separate myself, become an ascetic monk effectively. And this causes a retreat from the world that is dark and wicked. And so, I don't want to be involved with the physical stuff in the universe. And then you don't follow God's commands to be involved with the world and the people around you and love and care for them. In that first Persefone video I did, I mentioned that the Christian faith does not task us with tapping into our inner self, opening our third eye to discern what's real, or, getting outside of our prison skin. It's not like that, but there are accuracies in some of how that's phrased. There is a spiritual reality that can't be discerned with our physical eyes, and we do need redemption. We do have bodies that are unclean, and it's not just our bodies, it's our souls too. Like, the whole man is corrupted when we sin. So it's not like just half of us is bad and half of us is good, and like we need to let the good side win. And also we need to see that the source of our redemption is external. It's not about what we can muster. If we can reduce worldly passions and desires enough, then we can reach, samsara, nirvana. Samsara is the bad one, I think. I don't have it all memorized. There's a lot in Eastern religion.
But frankly, I'm a little appalled that none of you know very much about Indian culture.
But basically, it's not about an effort that we do ourselves in order to cleanse ourselves and get right with God. The Bible paints a picture of, a morally corrupt humanity that's been passed down ever since Adam sinned in the garden. And, Paul references his body of death. He says, who will save me from this body of death in Romans? But Paul also talks about regeneration that occurs in our inner being through the work of the Holy Spirit. And I would say that's what this song is pointing to. Like, if there's any truth in this song, it's pointing to a regeneration of a sinner by the Holy Spirit of God. And that's all made possible by the sacrifice that Jesus made on the cross. And also that wise voice in the middle of the song that said, this is good. You need to trust yourself and accept yourself and love yourself. If that voice doesn't come directly from the words of Scripture, then it's not God. It's a demon trying to take your eyes off of Jesus, who is the one who actually can make you acceptable in God's sight. So thanks for checking out this band with me again. This was so fun to go back. I don't listen to this album like every week or anything like that, but every time I do, it's like greeting an old friend and seeing songs that I remember, almost every part too. And it's so good. It continues to wow me. These guys, they have a very different view of reality and different prescriptions on how to live than I do. But I hope that one day they will make their own spiritual migration based on the map from heaven itself, in order to find that inner peace and fullness that they want, but finding it in God and Jesus. So yes, thank you for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. It's a scary zone, scary kill zone to be in, because not only are you dying, but it's happening in an uncomfortable way, because there's a storm all around you. It's not going to feel good, so watch out. But yeah,